And good evening, everybody. Stop dancing, Chuck.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you call it?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Real Fellas Talk Sports. I'm David Burnett, and joining me are the fellas. Chuck Snowden. How are you, Chuck?
Hey, David, I'm absolutely spectacular. It's Wednesday, and at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, you know what I call that? Happy hour. Can't wait to chop it up with my fellas.
And we're also joined by our special guest, Kevin McNutt. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing well, man. I look at Chuck's wardrobe now. I know why. We got smog out here, and city's full of smoke. It ain't Canadian smoke fires. It's Chuck's wardrobe, but that's okay.
And our other special guest and former panelist forever, Bobby Kinzer. How you doing, Bobby?
Dave, I am so glad you asked me how I'm doing.
Oh.
You know how I'm doing, Dave? I'm glad you asked me. I'm happier than a man at a wet t-shirt contest on a trampoline.
Okay. On that note, we are going to talk some basketball, NBA basketball. The series is tied 1-1. Can Miami defeat Denver? Right now, it looks like maybe they can. Let me start with Kevin McNutt. Kevin, so far, 2 games into the series, 3rd game tonight. What do you see?
Denver. I started with Denver. I started with Denver before the playoffs. Last time on the show, I said Denver's going to take it all the way, and I'm sticking with my guns. They got sloppy and arrogant after game 1, thinking we at home, we 8-0, we won by 20. We can do this thing. That was a little youthful mistake first time in the finals. Miami don't quit for nobody. They pit bulls, and their rim is a stake. So they came out, they taught them a lesson. I saw it early 10-2 run, and you can say, oh, Miami wants this more than they did. And I'm going to give you one example that was a telltale sign of who wanted that game more. And I hate to do this because I'm busting out my boy, Jeff Green, who I refereed at Northwestern. I played with him. He played on our team in the Kenner League. We coach a team there. He's my guy, and I want him to get a ring. That's one reason why I'm pulling for Denver. But Duncan Robinson came in the second half, hit a couple of jumpers, went to the basket, got fouled, went to the free throw line, missed the free throw. Jeff Green did not box out. Lowry got the rebound. Lowry's 5'7", 170 pounds, and 61 years old. And they got the ball out of bounds. Inbound the ball, Duncan Robinson hit a 3, so it was a 5-point possession. And I just said the game's over from that point on. And so I expect them to correct those mistakes. I think that I like them to win tonight and go on and take the series in maybe 5 or 6.
Chuck Snowden, your thoughts on the way this series is going? Can Miami continue to win?
Well, I think the answer to your second question is I think Miami can continue to win. Nutt made some really good points there, so I give him kudos there. Here's the deal. Against the Lakers, I worked that in. Against the Lakers, KCP and Aaron Gordon and Porter and Murray even, man, they hit shots like crazy. I mean, they really did. And in this game, this last game, Miami made their shots and Denver didn't. Denver shot 11 for 28 from the 3. They just didn't score. They just didn't hit their shots. I thought it came down to that. And I also thought that Miami hit their shots. And there were some tactical things that happened in there. We've talked about it in the production meeting or last weekend about the zone. Miami uses their zone. They change up the defense a little bit and do some things in that nature. I'll tell you another thing they did, and I'll turn it over to Bobby, is they let Joker score. You can have as many points as you want, Joker, but we're not going to let you be the playmaker. And I really believe that was a big piece of this game as well.
Bobby, your thoughts at this point, and who's got the edge at this point? Denver lost one at home. They go to Miami tonight. Can Miami continue the assault?
Excuse me. Not now, James. I know you noticed my background is the palatial states I'm in. In a minute, James. What I want to say, Dave, before I even get into this has got to be the worst coaching I ever seen, from Celtics to Denver. Now, Denver, they getting the light shot out of them, and they're going to go to a zone. First of all, they weren't even going up on the man in the zone. Then they go to zone, and Duncan now drives, which you're supposed to do in the zone. I'm like, what's up with the coach? Because we had this conversation about players, but now I'm beginning the players are running the tees, man. Because, I mean, I just thought it was the coaching why Denver lost, man. It's unbelievable. Just like how the Celtics lost. They lost. They're up by 15 shooting threes with hands in their face. Coaching. So anyway.
What's the common denominator in all of that? Eric Spoelstra.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Spoelstra is the common denominator in both of those series.
What's the common denominator with Spoelstra? Pat Riley. Okay.
Well, let's hold off on the Pat Riley praise. He's a great general manager and president of the team, but he is not in the locker room. He's not coaching the team. Eric Spoelstra does not get enough credit. I've been saying that all along.
So you think?
Excuse me. Eric Spoelstra gets credit from me.
No. He's a good coach.
Let me ask you guys this, and let me start with you, Bobby, on this one. Has the Joker been figured out? He got 41 points game 2, but only 4 assists. Is his passing, the fact that they kind of cut off his passing and his playmaking and letting him score, how much of an impact is that?
Well, I'm not one to say I told y'all so, but last week when you were asked what would be the way to approach the game, I did say put a zone on the Joker and you would slow up all that. I just want to say I did say that. I'm not one to say I told you so. But, but they played way better D. I'm like what Kevin said, man. It just seemed like they didn't have the same, oomph either. And Miami plays like that all the time. Mm-hmm. But my point with Miami playing so hard, playing this many games, they wear out. I think tonight might be one of those games we might see that.
Chuck, your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting. That same Miami team beat Boston, beat a good Milwaukee team, beat a good Knicks team. I had done this too. I've underestimated Miami. Miami is a quality team. They're very, very, very good. Again, if you wanted to make a football analogy, they're like the Patriots. Defense, not Brady. I mean, Brady was good on offense, but that defense that the Patriots had was really good, even though maybe none of those guys made the Pro Bowl. So I think that in this particular situation, I just think that they believe in themselves and they trust themselves, and they're very well coached, as David has mentioned. They break down the film and they come up with clever ways to do things.
I wish you used another analogy than the Patriots. Saying the Patriots to me is like saying Indiana. Excuse me, Dave.
Excuse me. On that thought, leave Indiana alone. We are not part of this. Kevin, you've spent a lot of time on basketball courts. You've seen a lot of things as both a player and an official. What do you see in this game at this point, in this series at this point?
In terms of what specifically?
Refereeing?
Why it's tied, or
why is it tied?
Well, I'm gonna disagree with Chuck, and Chuck would probably know better than me. What was Miami's record? I mean, they were the 8th seed or 9th seed, so it wasn't like they were dominating the league. And you look at their roster, and I'm talking about, Kevin Love, 81 years old, Kyle Lowry, 73, Cody Zeller's playing. I mean, did he go to Indiana or something? I mean,
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
He's 86.
44-38 was Miami's record.
I'm expecting you down on Haslam to play half the night. Just so Spoelstra is getting there's all the credit. I mean, Bam's 6'8", trying to deal with Joker. So I'm giving all the credit. They are tough. They're gritty. Lowry's a champion. Butler, could be a champion. They got that heart. They got that city instinct heart. And Denver has to wake up to it. Now, here's the other thing. I think Spoelstra will continue to be a good coach, but Malone's not a sleeper. Malone got jobbed out of his job at Sacramento. He should be right there now doing what they just did when they lost to the Lakers, Chuck? Yeah.
No, so, Golden State, yeah. So Malone can coach. So I'm looking forward to be, it's going to be a dogfight. I just think that I agree with Bobby that they're going to wear out, man. I don't know how they're going to keep that going. Denver is the better team.
Yes,
Murray,
Joker. But the better team is.
And the original question was about Joker. Let me just jump in on Joker.
Go ahead.
It's a pleasure seeing him because I had not seen him. I don't do a lot of NBA during the season. I'm a college man, and to watch him and appreciate him. And I'm saying, hey man, if I had a vote, if I had seen him during the season, and the knock was, well, he's heavy-footed, no defense. But what he can do with that ball, I remember back in the day, Bobby, and you know this. Paul Pressey, who used to play for the Milwaukee Bucks, was called the first point forward.
Right.
Joker's a point center. You know what I'm saying? The way he handles the ball and passes that ball, he can score inside out.
Let me pick up on that point. And you're talking about Joker. He's got to be one of the slowest, at least by eyesight, that we've seen in years. He's got to have one of the lowest vertical leaps. What does he do? Because I'm a Joker guy, but what does he do as a basketball aficionado? What is he doing that allows him to be so successful both as a playmaker, as a rebounder, as a scorer? What is he doing, Kevin?
Fundamentally sound. Footwork's immaculate. I mean, I'm not gonna say Olajuwon-ish, but his footwork is excellent. He can put the ball left and right hand, up fakes. His shot mechanics are excellent. He sees the floor like he's Tom Brady in a pocket with no pass rushers. That stuff is innate. You want to say, hey man, he did it over in Europe. No, this boy can play any level, anywhere. So I give, and you know what? He was a second-round draft choice. Even he said, yeah, the scouting report says I'm slow. The scouting report said I can't do this and that, and he worked at his craft. All props to him.
Is it something that all basketball players, wherever they come from, whether they are from Europe, whether they're from South America, Africa, United States, Canada, is there something to be taken from what the Joker is exposing to the rest of us?
Yes.
What is that, Bobby?
Playing in Europe myself, to back up what Kevin's saying, he knows the game. The Joker understands the game. He's fundamentally sound. And then, David, to answer to your question, this is what people don't know. In Europe, they have like under 16s, under 17s, under 19. And some of those guys end up playing pros at that age. But what people don't know, in Europe, a lot of times those guys don't play 5-on-5 until like 17. They play 3-on-3. They go in the classroom. They really learn the game. That is the difference between American ball players and European ball players. They really know the game. And Joker shows that. Doncic shows that. They really understand the game. And the last thing I want to make, Dave, the great players go at their own pace. Most players get out there, if you're young, you're running fast, trying to outrun. And when I learned, Doncic does it. Larry Bird. I mean, the great players, they go at their own pace, and that's what Joker does.
Chuck, do you agree with that?
Hey, David. Now, Bobby's been on our show for the last couple of years quite a bit, and that was as good a session that we just had and all the times we've been on that show. That was excellent, Bobby. I really like that. I was going to interject Larry Bird as well, and we talked about this too, David. That's kind of who he reminds us of, although I know they're a little bit different because this guy's a center. I also believe that in Europe, they teach and train differently than they do in America, meaning the centers are told to play the center position, and I think the tall Africans are the same way. But Europe, those guys like Dirk and Doncic and this guy,
Done that strip.
and the Victor coming in, they just got all the skills and a high IQ too, a very high IQ. So I'm impressed. I'm just not as impressed with him defensively, but I don't think that's the focus with him or Doncic or Dirk, etc.
Now, we got a lot of folks, the millions and millions who are watching us tonight, who are going to be turning us off in about 15 minutes and watching the game. Who is winning tonight? The game's in Miami. Miami is at home. Miami Heat. There's a reason they're called the Heat. Chuck, who wins tonight?
Before Chuck answers, one question. I'm sorry about that. Hey, Chuck, Bobby, what was he talking about, man? Who he, Cisco and Ebert criticizing you, man? What is that all about?
You notice, Kevin, I was holding it because I was going to get this goddamn hot red Bama clothes wearing mug talking about out of all the shows, this is the one. Thank you, Kevin. But go ahead. I'm so sorry.
He sounded really smart, and that it took me by surprise. I'm almost wondering if his twin is.
Oh boy, I'm glad we.
Oh boy. Anyway, let's before this degenerates.
David be giving fines though, man, and he knows I've been fine free the last two shows.
The show ain't over. Anyway, who's winning tonight, Bobby?
I gotta be honest, Dave. I don't know anymore, man. I mean, I just don't. Just when I think I do, like one team comes back and beat a team by 30, and the next game the other team beat them by 30. That's unheard of, man. I can't call it. It's the strangest, and I put it down to David. And I know Kev and Chuck agree with me, and you too, Dave. It's a different mindset the way these young guys approach the game these days. I see that like halfway through, if they feel they don't have a chance, they just give up. I can see it in their body energy. Back in the day, let me tell you right quick. I played golf with Bobby Dandridge. I asked Bobby, what's the difference? He said, Bob, the difference is back in the day, we didn't double team nobody. You had to play your man one-on-one. And guess what? If you didn't, guess what? You're on the bench. And then guess what's next? He said, and when you hit the bench, the next one, you off the team. Mm-hmm. So a different mindset, man. I can't call it, David. I'm sorry. I just can't call it.
Okay, then we'll say you don't have a decision tonight. Kevin, who wins tonight?
Denver wins, but I want to back up on what Bobby Dandridge. They're just talking about they didn't double team. They would play San Antonio in the playoffs. George Gervin would have 39 after 3 quarters. Mata would switch over and put it was Mata's shoe, I can't remember, which put Dandridge on him. He finished with 41. That's how good Bobby D was.
Thank you.
But anyway, staying on top.
1-1 too, by the way.
Huh?
He didn't have no help. He checked them one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And held Gervin to 2. And forced Paul Silas to try to beat the Bullets, and he never did. But anyway, Denver wins tonight. Denver wins tonight.
Can I ask you why, Kevin? Why you think why?
Talent. I think talent's going to surface. Spoelstra's good, but Malone is not. He's not giving away as much as Mazzulla was in the coaching fraternity. You know what I'm saying?
That goes without saying.
Spoelstra's got rings, but this guy can coach, and I think he's going to make the adjustments. I think going to win. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a buzzer beater because at Miami, Denver hasn't played well on the road. I think talent surfaces. I'm tired of looking at Love and Lowry and Zeller got to come in and check my man. I don't know.
All right, hold on, Chuck. We're gonna move on real quickly, and you can come back to that. In other NBA news, Chris Paul. Is about to be waived by the Suns. Kidding.
It took him so long.
So let me go around with our distinguished panel. And I'll start with me because I'm distinguished.
Come on.
I don't care if Chris Paul ever plays again. He's had a heck of a career, but he's injured all the time. Just go out, keep doing your commercials. He does a pretty decent job with his commercials, and do that. And then maybe do some more TV as an analyst.
Hey, David, can you give us a strong opinion, man? Stop spelling the first, brother.
Real quick, that was kind of weak.
Yeah, no, is that right? I thought.
No, I'm being sarcastic. That was, God dang.
His opening line was, "I don't care, the cat plays again." That's deep.
To be honest with you, Chris Paul is an outstanding player. What is he, 16, 17, 18 seasons in the league? A great player. But he hadn't won anything, and he's always hurt when it counts. He will be in the Hall of Fame, but everybody gets in the Basketball Hall of Fame. That's no slam. That's no slam on Chris Paul. But where do you guys want Chris Paul? Chris Paul says he wants to keep playing another couple of seasons. Is that realistic, or is that him being fanciful and kind of blowing up his career? Let me start with you, Chuck.
I have a home for him, and I've kind of soured on Chris late in his career just because of the things you just mentioned, being hurt all the time, can't be counted on. But he would be perfect. And Bobby and I talked about this. He'd be perfect for the Boston Celtics. Let me tell you why. The Boston Celtics miss a pure point guard who can get those guys like Tatum and Brown off. And with his veteran leadership, and he got a little tough guy in him too. Boston, God knows they could use that. And he wouldn't have to play all the minutes and so forth at this point in his career that he can't do. If they would have him healthy come playoff time, I think he would be an asset to the Celtics.
Bobby.
Chris Paul suffers disease that all ex-professional basketball is called holding on to the ghost of Naismith. That dude should have been quit. Okay? No, he's done. And I've seen it. I've seen when people hit the walls, and everybody is different. He has hit the wall. And the point that proves my point, to do a commercial with them long A shorts on shows how old that Bama is. I'm not a Chris Paul fan. I'm sorry. He's a dirty player.
Yep.
He's done that way all his life. I'm giving you a bias, to be honest. But to tell the truth, he is suffering, and we talked about this the other day. He's suffering from, like with most professional players, they don't know when to give it up. And he needs to give it up. And Chuck, to your point, it's not that they just need Chris Paul. Most teams need a point guard, period.
But they're close.
Right.
Your thoughts on Chris Paul? What's his legacy?
Chris Paul is the first ballot HOF, and I agree with Chuck. Not so much Boston. I can see Boston, but I'm thinking, somebody back up Fox or Sacramento. One of those teams is on the verge of taking to the next step, and I could even see Milwaukee. I'm not sure who that point guard is, if they have a true point guard. So and again, and because he wants a ring, he's not going to be. And he's my favorite. Allen Iverson, who's saying, "Hey man, no. I want to start wherever I go. I can still play." I think Paul wants a ring. He will be content being assistant coach and giving you 20 minutes on a night.
Hey, Kev, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Did you see him play? You must didn't see him play this whole year, like you said.
Not that much, bro.
Thank you. That explains it, because I'm telling you, he's not contributing squat, man.
Is that right?
Because I'm saying he doesn't have the pace anymore. He stays injured like most old players do.
Right.
Hanging up, dude, leave on top. But most players that try to stay in there, I don't know.
What about his mind, though? What about his mind? I mean, you know what I mean? I'm talking, 15 to 20 minutes a game.
Yeah. So let me give you the mindset when I knew to give up. I came down the court, Kev.
Yeah.
In my mind, I said, go between my legs and around my back. The ball got caught on my butt, and I took about 5 steps, and they called traveling. I said, it's time for me to quit.
Well, that was 10 years in the pros over in Europe. They had the Chuck as a sophomore in high school. So what you talking about?
Okay. Take it easy. Take it easy.
All right, we're gonna stay with the NBA for just one more issue. Ja Morant, the commissioner announced that a penalty would be announced for Ja Morant after the finals is over. Is that appropriate? Should he have even mentioned Ja Morant? I know he was responding to a question, but should the commissioner have gone on as far as he did to suggest that there would be a penalty, but would be after, and in a way trying to keep the focus on the finals? But he didn't do the finals any good by even talking about Ja Morant. Let me start with you, Kevin.
The mistake was the commissioner should have said, we're still investigating. We hope to have resolution by the end of the playoffs. By saying that, yeah, we already know what we want to do. We're just going to wait to the finals. That was kind of, so it was basically he's hanging in, not that I have any sympathy for him, but he's basically twisting in the wind. And all Silver had to say was that we're still compiling some information here. Well, he said that, but he also said, we're ready to do it now, but we're not. We're going to wait to the end of the playoffs. So if he added that in there, he's off the hook. I do agree that he should wait because the players, by the way, I just saw today, one of our guys, Felix Yeoman, sent out about the ratings. And the ratings are between 11 and 15 million people are watching this series. They say it's the most high series since Golden State Cleveland. So yeah, man, celebrate the NBA. This is your day in the sun. Celebrate it. We can get to that, man.
You made his day.
Yeah.
Kevin, you made David's day when you made that statement right there.
Which one?
About this, the country is watching, even though it's just Denver and Miami. Because I thought maybe the country wouldn't watch because those are two cities that,
right,
the country typically doesn't.
Right.
And David said no, and they're watching.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching.
I'm glad they're watching.
They're not. The commissioner isn't twisted in the wind. They know what they have to do with them. They already made the decision, and by not saying it, it lets you know how serious the decision is. Mm-hmm. He's getting half a season, if not the whole season. Watch.
I'm not sure about that, Bobby. I heard something today. I was looking at some research on that today for the show. I heard there was a toy gun. That it was a toy gun.
That's them putting the word out from his camp, from the Ja Morant camp, that it was a toy gun. Yeah, and how many weeks and months have passed since that's come out? It's been quite a few. Toy gun or not, you don't display any kind of thing that represents a gun.
Especially after you just had 8 games because of a gun beef.
All I'm saying is at the end of the day, when you assign penalties, we do, and Larry's not here on the show today, that collective bargaining thing has to be agreed by both the union and the league. And it's just going to be interesting to see how this comes down.
Hey, Kevin, where are you at? The penthouse? You got dogs and things ringing. You're not at the Foxy Playground, are you?
I got a grandfather clock going off in the background.
And the grandfather, he down there too, making it rain. God dang.
Hey, Chuck, he don't know I was first team All Jones. We're gonna get after
it. Clearly he doesn't.
But Dave, to answer your question, or maybe get ahead of the question, I agree, Bobby. 41 games, half a season.
At least, Kev, at least.
Yep.
I say the season.
Wow.
Yeah, I do too. I don't
take him out. Take him out.
Yep. Without pay, and I hope the shoe contract goes with it.
I think that's gone.
And we talked about this the other day on the show, Kevin. And we love him. You and I and the rest of the panel, we love Allen Iverson, right? We love Allen Iverson. But didn't Allen Iverson get in trouble all the time too?
Not with no guns. It's a different level.
It was always something. His car got stopped with a gun in it. He sure did. I wouldn't call that. I know, that's what I'm saying. We have what we call selective memory when we like somebody.
So, okay, so where you going with this? Are you saying Morant shouldn't get this? He already got 8, and Silver's mad. Milk didn't say it, but he said he pimped me for the 8. So,
right.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that he should get a year. I think half a season is probably right. But I'm a little more sympathetic than most people in his case, and I don't know why. Maybe because he's 24 and we all do stupid things. Maybe because our culture is gun oriented.
Yes,
and that's a problem too.
There's mass shootings every day, Chuck. This is not what
I know that. So he's just a product of our environment, right?
Oh, so he should get a pass?
No. Hey, Chuck. I'm Chuck. The cat is making $100 million and change to play basketball.
250 exactly.
So he is in rarefied air, so he should be held accountable for that. He ain't at McDonald's. He ain't at Walmart. He's not a normal citizen. So no.
The irony is, if he was at McDonald's or Walmart, he would be fired.
Come on, Soldier.
He already got
He would be fired.
20 million guns get sold in this country every year.
Yes, they do.
All right. And that wraps up our discussion of the NBA. In fact, the basketball game.
Hey, David.
On in a second. Yes, sir.
Not to. I want to throw one more thing in. Do you think I'm just curious in terms of this panel of all the new coaching changes, and I thought we might touch. I didn't know if you were going to touch on that today, but I guess all the positions are filled except for the Toronto job. And the one guy I find surprising is Adrian Griffin. I don't really know him.
Well, most coaches we don't know until they become a coach and start winning.
Didn't know who Spoelstra was.
We didn't know who Spoelstra was until he became the head coach of Miami and started winning. We didn't really know who he was.
Vogel got the Phoenix job, which I thought was surprising as well. Anyway, I just thought there was some interesting coaching decisions. And our friend Doc Rivers, I don't know. I guess he won't be coaching this year. Huh?
Well, that's your favorite. That's your favorite coach, Chuck.
You better clear it up with new viewers, Chuck. Tell us your feelings about Doc, Chuck.
Can't stand him.
That was pretty clear.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go to the NFL very quickly. Colts player Isaiah Rodgers placing sports bets, including allegedly bets on the Colts games. What should happen to Isaiah Rodgers? Gambling has become part of the sports industry now and an integral part of the sports industry, but you can't bet if you're a player. I'm going to start with you, Bobby. What should happen to Isaiah Rodgers? Should he be playing again?
Well, David, I'm not one to say I told you so, but remember last week? That was my closing remarks. Remember
mine too, brother. Mine too.
About gambling. Last week it was about gambling, and this right here confirms it, man. It's I just knew it's just going to cause so many problems, and it's very clear on how they feel about gambling because they know people are going to come down on. So there's policies for what they want to do with him. So he's just going to have to bite the bullet.
Is the bullet that he bites going to be his entire career, Kevin? Because not just because he bet on sports, but he bet on the Colts allegedly. Now I'm just going to keep using allegedly. I'm a former journalist.
Right.
Allegedly bet on the Colts. He's essentially acknowledging he bet, but if he bet on the Colts, that should be a game ender for him. Do you think so, Kevin?
Well, Calvin Ridley got a year, right? He did in Atlanta.
Yep.
He sat out a year, and now he's in Jacksonville. So,
but he didn't bet on his team.
I thought he did. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But
betting is betting.
Well, on the team a little different, but if he didn't, it might be a career ender. I mean, Pete Rose's career ended when he was a manager. But same thing if you bet on your team. But the closing argument was right there, because as a referee, man, it is so easy with these people that got their phones now to bet. I see my guys at work all day long. Hey man, and it is so easy. And then when they look, and then they have these prop bets. Will Bam get 8 rebounds? Will Butler score over 20 and all this kind of stuff? And then that throws it out there that Bradley Beal was accosted at Orlando after a game because he didn't get the prop bet that somebody had for over 20 or something. And the guy called him a name and he allegedly touched the guy and all this kind of stuff. The NBA is big money, but the NBA put themselves in bed with it, and it's going to be a lot of questions. The referees are going to hit it every day. Oh, that was a call. You know what I mean? And even if you go to the Eye in the Sky up in New York, if they got money on it, they're going to say, it's a fix, it's this and that. So fix is going to come up every time. The players are going to be questioned. It's just, they open that can of worms. And the players should know, and the money's out there.
In fairness to the NFL, to the NBA, to National Hockey League, and all the other sports, in fairness to all the sports, it's the states themselves that have allowed easy access to sports betting.
Right.
Indiana, my home state, was one of the first states after New Jersey to legalize sports gambling. And that's been about 3 years now, 4 years. It's something that's happening in just about every state in the union. Is there anything that can really be done? Can we actually effectively police players from gambling? And let me ask you, Chuck.
I don't. It's so interesting because I watch these pro games and I watch commercials, and they're pushing gambling all over the place. And the phone is the vehicle to do the gambling. And I think in the case of the Detroit Lions, I think their deal was they weren't betting on football; they were betting on something else. But they were betting inside the facility.
Yeah.
And that is the no-no. And so they got dinged for that. So I think that here's what's always confusing for me. Agents, your administrators around the pro team that you're on, they should be lecturing these guys on good behavior.
Come on, Chuck.
And what the penalties are. And I'm not saying they're not, but it sure does seem that way. And one last thing about this, every now and then they would say, you'd hear on the news, boat seized in San Diego with $100 million of cocaine on it. When in fact, it was pouring into the country. In other words, they would make it seem like there was this war going and they were going to stop it. And there's an example of stopping it. I wonder if this is just a charade of some sort. I don't know. It's just because why are they picking on the Indianapolis Colts and the Detroit Lions when it comes to this?
Because this is the difference. I don't know if you remember this guy named Todd Bozeman.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
We know Todd well.
Todd got banned for 10 years, one of the biggest bans in college. And he came on TV and he said the worst thing he could have did was say, hey, why y'all coming down on me? Everybody's doing it. And that's why those other guys, they banned him and said, oh, man, he can let out the secret. But this is the difference with him and the Colts guy and the Detroit guys. When you get caught, that's the difference. All the people say, you say, everybody else.
Kobe did it too. Kobe got caught with girls.
Yeah, when you get caught, you can't talk all that stuff. Yeah, they all do. But Dave, we're so behind. They've been betting on sports in Europe for years. I mean, I'm talking about. They were at my games had the betting thing down on the bookie board down on the floor. I'm like, this is some crazy stuff. So we've been fighting it for years, but remember, Chuck, we're in a capitalist society. You can put all the rules and policies you want, but people do what they want to do.
Some say that's how Jordan got suspended because he got caught up in some of that gambling, and then maybe perhaps got his.
I think
that may be, but keeping in mind, and just piggyback on what Bobby is saying, sports gambling has been going on for many, many years. It's just now it's much more accessible and it's easier to do. We can go back 70 years, the University of Kentucky basketball team.
Oh, yeah.
1950, in the early 1950s, late 1940s.
White Sox or somebody who was it? Black Sox?
The Black Sox, in baseball in 1917, 1919, somewhere in there.
Right.
Paul Hornung was suspended for a full year for gambling, and so was Alex Karras. Y'all remember him?
Yeah, sure.
Suspended.
How about Connie
that was
Hawkins?
60 years ago.
How about Connie Hawkins?
Connie Hawkins and Roger Brown.
Roger Brown, Indiana Pacers.
Stopped from playing basketball for the heart of their careers. So gambling has been going on for a long time. It's just now it's much more accessible, and states other than Nevada are making it possible.
Hey, can I tell you a quick funny story? So you guys know that I'm
make it quick.
Okay, my friend Mike Woodson.
About Chuck except when he's in the bed.
Stop.
My friend Mike Woodson was a head coach of the Atlanta Hawks, and with about, I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes to go, they were down 13, and his team ended up beating Orlando, and he thought it was his coaching. Years later, found out that the referee for that game was that guy from Philadelphia who got
Tim
caught up
Donaghy.
in the gambling, and that
Tim
was one of the
Donaghy.
games they identified as a game that he kind of threw and got suspended. And Woody said, see, for all those years, I thought it was my coaching that came back Atlanta over Orlando.
I'm gonna top that, David, real quick, 30 seconds.
Sure.
Earl Monroe playing at the Garden with the Knicks. Game ended. People, the only ones hanging around is the bookies, and everybody got a bet on. Earl gets the rebound with a couple seconds to go, 1 or 2 seconds to go. So, just killing out the clock. Instead of killing the clock, he throws up over his head, goes in. Loudest roar the whole night because I guess somebody won or lost the bet. Earl got called in the commissioner's office. Now he just threw it over his head, but you know what I'm saying. That's how the influence.
Right.
And in New York too,
he just threw it over his head. Right?
I'm just telling you. So,
You never know.
Don't play with that stuff, man.
I know.
All right, gentlemen. With that, we go to closing comments. Everybody seems to have a closing comment. Let me start with you, Kevin.
Actually, mine was on this gambling thing, and I kind of touched bases on it because I'm sensitive as a referee. And just to follow up what I was saying, Chuck mentioned it. Man, Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith are betting in game.
Yep.
Who's going to cover? You know what I mean? Is Butler going to go over 20 tonight? Is Miami going to go over 100? I mean, people are
problem
seeing
with that, Kevin.
Yeah.
Problem with that.
Yeah, and people are seeing this and look here. They, because of the respect that Barkley and people are canceling their bets or adding onto their bets or betting the second half. I didn't know that you can do a total and they have a spread for the second half. This is out of control, and it is just on your phone, FanDuel, and whatever they are. It's dangerous.
They're getting paid too, by the way.
No, without a doubt. It's a sucker play because guys, I walk them. I know 4 guys are going to tell me off the game tonight and said, "Man, I put up 17 bets." And I'm $30. I could have won 3,000. I said, yes, 17. Trying to hit 17 in a row is hard to do. And they come back. I only missed it by 3 or 4. How much you get paid? 0. I don't care if you missed it by 1. You're getting paid 0. They don't see that. But next, I'm out.
All right. Let me go with you, Chuck. You have a closing.
All right. So it's time for us to really give this person some credit, boys and girls. I heard this phrase the other day, and it went something like this. She's the face of ESPN. I want to give some credit tonight to a young, up-and-coming, maybe a Robin Roberts type person. Her name is Monica McNutt. Monica is early 30s. She is on Around the Horn. She is on Get Up. She does the women's NCAA tournament. She does the men's games. She's everywhere, and she does an absolute fabulous job. And before that, she was a star basketball player at Holy Cross High School here in Washington, D.C., and also at Georgetown University, which her senior year, they beat Maryland twice.
That's correct.
And once was in the NCAA tournament.
At Maryland.
She was a great player. She's done an absolutely fantastic job on air. And they use the phrase face. Her and Stephen A are going at it on some of the shows. It's phenomenal. I'm so proud of her. She's a better person than she is an announcer, and she's a hell of an announcer and analyst. It's time for us on this show to shout her out. Washington, D.C.'s own Monica McNutt.
And let's have a hand for her daddy right there.
Find out who that is.
Hey, look at Chuck's the president of a fan club. Hey, Bob. Hey, thanks, Chuck. I'm gonna make sure she sees this tape. She appreciate that. Hey, Bobby, before you do your closing comments, I'm looking at that piano in the back room. Do you rent your house out as a jazz club or something? What the hell is that?
It's a fake background.
That's my grandmama's piano, Kevin. Don't
I ain't
take
saying
my
nothing.
grandmother's piano out your mouth. No.
Bobby, you have a closing comment.
Okay. So my closing comment is, first of all, I agree, which I seldom do, which 100% about he's talked about this. She's wonderful. And so I just want to make that comment to confirm that too.
Thanks, bro.
And I also want to confirm understand why Chuck's nose is so brown. So one of my closing remarks is he ain't do it when you wasn't on here, Kevin. I ain't gonna go there. That's the true thing if you did when on. But anyway, that's good though. But I agree, she's on. Your daughter's on. So sorry, David. My closing remarks is, and some people might get me on this, but I'm telling you all, I don't feel the NCAA portal. It's just killing. I couldn't even be a coach. I wouldn't even want to be a coach. You don't even know who you get. It was bad enough when they could leave early, but now you just piss one guy off, and the next thing you know, because he's not playing, he's a freshman. I shouldn't be saying this because this is somebody real that I know. He's not playing major. He was starting. He's not playing. He just went now go to another school, playing at a major Division I. The junior guy's getting ready to be a senior. He was going to leave, but he's coming back. That pissed him off. He's saying, I'm not going to play. So now I'm going to go to another team. So that portal is my closing remarks. I hope they get some kind of sanity to this because it's just out of control, man. I wouldn't even want to be a coach.
All right. Let me say a couple of words, a shout out to the University of Oklahoma softball team.
Yeah.
51 consecutive victories in a sport like softball.
Yes.
How do you have that happen? They're two-time defending national champions, playing the Florida State Seminoles in the championship series, College World Series. I wish the University of Oklahoma well, whatever they're doing, win or lose. Yes. Phenomenal athletes.
Phenomenal.
They are.
Good point.
Phenomenal.
Whole team of pilgrims. Yeah.
Hey, David, are they in the championship? Where does that stand at this point?
I believe, and again, I'm only paying partial attention to it. They're playing Florida State, and I believe it's the championship series.
It doesn't have as many pilgrims.
But they are the two-time defending national champions, and they've won 51 consecutive games. That's to be applauded. Gentlemen, I'd like to thank Kevin McNutt. Thank you very much for showing up. Chuck Snowden, thank you for being here every week. Bobby, Special K, Big Bob Kinzer.
Kevin McNutt.
No, David. No. Bob Kinzer. Bob Kinzer.
Big Bob Kinzer.
Big Bob Kinzer. Good night, everybody.
I do want to add, man. This is really great. David, great job. Bobby, add a lot. Class act. Chuck is class act. You boys got a whole lot of style. But with what y'all pay, I'm going to be back for a while.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching.
I want a daggone